Now, there's no doubt about it that if we take a very close look at Lucasfilm and Marvel Studios, two of the most failed divisions over at the Walt Disney Company that have been hit hard by Bob Iger's cost-cutting measures, his cost containment plan, whatever have you, as well as everything that Kathleen Kennedy and Kevin Feige did wrong with the brands, that's only driving these overall Disney brands into the dirt further and further every single year. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So ever since the Acolyte Trailer 1 and Trailer 2 debuted, two of which, by the way, both really got ratioed across the board, across all forms of social media, something that we have never seen in the history of Star Wars under Disney's wing. And that is very revealing, because that just goes to show you that a lot of people are beginning to wake up about Disney's DEI agenda spilling into Star Wars front and center now. You know, more so than ever before, to the point where nearly everyone is beginning to see exactly what Disney is all about, and why Elon Musk called out Bob Iger, called out Disney's ways, and really made that even more visible. Now, focusing on Leslye Headland of The Acolyte, we know that Season 2 of The Acolyte got axed behind the scenes by Bob Iger, and it's creating a lot of drama behind closed doors between him, Kathleen Kennedy, Leslye Headland, the Lucasfilm story group, etc., etc. There's a lot to talk about that we will be talking about next week, so stay tuned about that. However, focusing on Leslye Headland, she is seemingly taking it out on the fans about the discontinuation of the Acolyte series and how it's no longer going to move forward into becoming the new flagship series to take over The Mandalorian, since Disney's plan right now is to turn The Mandalorian into a film series instead. Now, focusing on all of this, with all divisions at the Walt Disney Company going through many challenges, one major development now involves more to do with the Acolyte director and showrunner Leslye Headland going against Star Wars fans after the Acolyte Season 2 got axed recently due to both the backlash and Bob Iger's cost containment plan as well. Now, Headland delivered the following. Look, as a feminist and one who truly supports the LGBTQI community and how we are representing that in the Acolyte, it's absolutely disgusting to see how fans have been reacting to our support for them. Traditionally in this industry, you discuss where the story can go, either after the first film or the first season, and with this case for the Acolyte, I really can't talk much about that anymore, but I think the problem with this industry, especially in 2024, is how we have had some studios that tend to listen to the loud minority that don't really care about franchises as big as Star Wars or Marvel or whatever. In less than 1 month, we are absolutely going to prove the naysayers wrong, and I think it will be hard for them to accept that they will be wrong once we properly present what the Acolyte is all about. This series is my love letter, not just to how Star Wars holds the ability to change and adapt to present different communities, but I'm also a huge fan of Rian Johnson and took much inspiration from him for this story. We have, of course, so much to tell for this story, but unfortunately that's up to the studios, and many times more often than not, I have realized that unnecessary noise from so-called fans can give off the wrong impression to how a product is accepted. My view of the Star Wars community is that, well, it's very toxic, a very toxic one at that, and one that needs fixing. And I think over time, it will take time. If you keep on representing these communities that need the attention that they deserve, then gradually more and more fans will begin to accept what we agree, of course, going into Star Wars. It gets exhausting, hearing fans, which of course to me are just posers, calling The Acolyte an agenda-driven series from Disney. Look, Disney is doing nothing like that. I may have had my differences with Disney, and still do to this day, that I really can't get into, but they are not an agenda-driven company or a biased company that's deliberately looking to alienate a fan base. That's just not the case and completely untrue, and for one to believe that, I think needs a reality check. The Acolyte is going to be a great series that rightfully addresses diversity, equity, and inclusion, and if any fan sees that as an agenda, really does not understand the importance of these things in the film industry and for television as well. We are shifting away from George Lucas's vision, and it's something that I and Kathleen Kennedy really wanted to focus on, to take Star Wars in a brand new path that will break the rules and traditions that fans are led to expect. Now guys, before I move on here, let me just say one thing. We talked about this on Twitter/X just the other day, and how Leslye Headland did confirm that they are going to be redefining the meaning of balance of the Force. She is changing core elements of the Star Wars franchise and the series overall, and what George implemented well over 40 plus years ago. And that's very alarming to a lot of fans out there. I mean, that's very alarming for fans that have been loyal to this franchise, you know, loyal to the first 6 movies, you know, the originals and the prequels by George. Those are his films, as far as I'm concerned. You know, anything after that is just Disney Star Wars, alright? That's what we call it. But focusing on this, we know that Leslye Headland is obviously taking things out on the fans. We all know what happened behind closed doors about the Acolyte Season 2, and how that all fell apart for 2 main reasons, as we discussed previously. A lot of it had to do with the intense backlash being so strong that Disney did not anticipate. And number 2, Bob Iger's cost-cutting measures. That's also going to impact a lot of budgeting restrictions for Star Wars, a lot of cutbacks, similar to what they are doing with Marvel right now, except on the more extreme case. So moving on forward from that, alright, she goes on to conclude, I'm all about subverting expectations, just like Ryan did with The Last Jedi, and that's what makes The Acolyte so special, and it will certainly gravitate toward any fan that's willing to experience all these communities become a part of the story. I really wanted to also focus on the Jedi relationships beyond Season 1, but that's all up in the air right now, and I don't know, I really just can't discuss that right now. Maybe sometime soon I can comment on the struggles there. So, obviously she's alluding to what's been going on with Season 2 and that falling apart, not just because of Bob Iger, but rightfully so, because of the fans speaking their mind and really putting it out there and showing Disney that it truly is a majority that really do not want their traditional nonsense that's been going on for well over 5 years now, alright? So we know that there's a lot of things going on with DEI. It's not just Disney, it's beginning to happen with Paramount. It's also further happening with HBO Max, and it's not going to stop there. But I don't really see an end in sight when it comes to this overall agenda until there's a tipping point where a lot of these studios truly hit rock bottom, where nothing is making money anymore at all, to the point where they either have to sell off some of those brands, or that they have to just flat out cancel a lot of shows and minimize them. But focusing on the Acolyte here, look, we already know that the marketing cutbacks are pretty much a disaster for Disney. It's a Bob Iger call, by the way. That's why you're not really seeing TV spots anymore on television related to Star Wars, especially in this case with The Acolyte. That's also why you're not really seeing too many spots or, you know, anything like related to the trailers in the forms of TV spots, like I said, condensed on the internet or any forms of social media. You don't really see it all that much. And that's all connected to his cost containment plan. So overall, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.